Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Aries EDC. You know, I was thinking about this year again, and I also started thinking about all the knives that I purchased this year and how I could share that with you guys. Because I don't want the channel to only be known for the knives that I'm making, although I am a maker, but I'm also a collector and enjoyer of knives. So I do production fixed blades, and I do production folders, and I really love all of it. The problem is, as far as with the channel goes, any money that I get in seems to be going for materials or handle materials and something for the making part of it instead of a nice pocket knife for myself to enjoy. And on the table right now are some examples of knives that I purchased this year that are kind of standouts as far for one reason or another. I think there may be 2 or 3 other ones that were purchased that aren't being represented right now that I bought this year, but these are the ones that were kind of standouts to me for whatever reason, and I wanted to share those with you in this video since it's the end of the year. And I just kind of wanted to express that for you guys. I don't want this channel to always be about the knives that I'm making, but I want it to be about other things as well, because I do love all of these things very much. But I don't get a chance to really share them with you as much as I would like to. So I want to start with these two. More on the budget end of things. I picked these two up because of the price and because the brands were kind of making some rumbling, at least as far as the Migron. That brand kept popping up and a lot of people were enjoying that brand of knife, and I decided to jump on one of their budget models. This is the Migron Tacog. I purchased this for I believe I purchased it on Amazon, and it was only like $40, $35. It was very, very cheap. It is a front flipper, and I have gotten much better at doing it. And if you watch the unboxing video, but very interesting knife. It is on the budget end of things, so you have to take that in consideration. But 14C 28N for a blade, that's pretty darn good. A nice liner lock, so it is a nice liner lock. You do have plenty of access to get to it, and nice action. The front flipper is very good. Nice rounded thumb hole for you to do the thumb as well. There is no option, sorry, failed that one. There is nothing on the other side for you to do a reverse flick. And although they give you that option to remove that thumb stud, you could take it and reverse it, but there's no space. So the knife wouldn't close all the way. So not sure why they gave that to you to remove. I guess unless you wanted to customize it and do something, I guess you could. But interesting shape or interesting blade. First, let's talk about the thickness. This thing is very, very thick. I don't know if it's the thickness of the G10 or thickness of the liners, but man, this thing is beefy. It's also thickness blade stock. That's like 1/8 inch thickness on the blade stock, which is really thick. So it's not getting really thin behind the edge, but still a nice little cutter. What I do like is the dual texturing on the blade. You have the nice kind of flattened, hand-sanded, flattened satin, and then you have the stonewash or sand-blasted finish on the bevels, and it is a nice deep hollow grind as well. So excellent shape, excellent little knife that I picked up that I was really happy with it. Nice deep carry pocket clip. Wish the screws were recessed. I feel like you have plenty of material here to work with to do that. but they decided not to. I don't mind the clip so much for the price point for which this blade was, but excellent little pickup for the budget area of things. Then I have the Petrified Fish Beluga. Again, another little front flipper. This one just kind of kept popping up of people saying grid things. My wife did pick me up another Petrified Fish, and I really liked that one, but the Beluga was the one I really had my eyes on. But nice front flipper, excellent drop point blade, nice little fuller up here at the top of the blade that allows you to actually get in to do reverse flick, of course, on camera. Reverse flick, and then you could actually thumb flick it as well. Nice liner lock. You still have plenty of access to the liner. Nice thin, nice rounded Contour G10 on this thing. I like the yellow, and you can see the texturing on the G10 as well. Pocket clip with recessed screws. So nice low profile on that. So excellent little blade. I went with the black coated blade, and the yellow G10 gives it a nice little look. And Petrified Fish make really great knives at a really great price point. Again, this is more on the budget end of things, and I got it for a really great price. I just don't remember what all that is. So that one was another good pickup. Then, of course, everybody was talking about it, and I had to buy one because everybody was saying how great it was. So this is the CJRB Pyate, and yes, I will agree with what everybody is saying. It is a fantastic knife. So I got it in this gray G10, although it's kind of like a gray blue, and I really love that color. Nice deep pocket carry with the recessed screws, but the clip itself isn't recessed into the G10, I guess the handle scales. But excellent blade. You got the 2 thumb studs, which work really well. And you can see I do use my stuff. Nice stonewashed blade. Excellent knife. I think everybody has said everything they need about this one. This is RPM 9, so knife more of on the cheaper end of things. The button lock is fantastic. Doesn't take much to undo it, and is very drop shutty. That is for sure. Everybody has some issues with button locks. I don't have any issues with button locks. I kind of enjoy the button lock. And I got 2 button locks this year, right around the same time. And the next one will be the Quibbit, which we'll talk about in a second. But I want to finish talking to you guys about the Pyate. You know, I can't say anything really negative about this thing. When I first got it, I was saying that maybe the lockup was almost a little too drop shutty, because as soon as you hit that button, man, that thing is flying. But as soon as you get used to it, then you know, well, as soon as you hit the button, that thing is falling. But I think the biggest thing is when people are heavy use and then they accidentally hit the button. But where my fingers are, I'm far enough away from that button, I don't have to worry about it. I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're pinch gripping it, you might be able to get the button, but if you're aware of it, you just scoot up a little bit. So, I don't know. But CJRB Pyate, another winner in my book. I really love the Warencliff shape of the blade too, that option. But the one that I wanted wasn't available at the time when I was ready to make this purchase, and I didn't really want to wait, so I ended up getting this one instead. So, it's not like I have buyer's remorse or anything. Excellent knife, and it gets used quite often. So the other button lock that I received or I purchased this year was the Quibbit. Really, really cool blade. And you guys know I'm a sucker for CIV. CIV is probably one of my favorite budget brands. And they make amazing knives for the price. So you have the nested pocket clip and screws, so excellent. It falls into your pocket. the aluminum scales, which is really, really a nice texture to it, really smooth, and just a different type of look. I really like the smoothness of the scales. It has the little bottle opener, not that I will probably ever use that, as I'm not much of a drinker at all, and it's just, but it is an interesting design standpoint. And it has the thumb studs, which you can reverse flick, and you can thumb flick very easily. Now this button, you actually have to put a little wrist action into closing it. When you hit the button, it's drop shutty, but it's not as much as the Pyrite. So, but as this thing, as I've had it and as it's worked in, it's become more and more drop shutty with anything. So I'm not even moving my wrist. I'm just kind of hitting the button. I pick it up and let gravity do its job, and it's an amazing knife. So 4 fingers on the handle scales, but if you needed to choke up, it has that nice little forward choil right here to really choke up if you need to. Aggressive jimping on the back of the spine here. Very thin, very, very thin blade stock. I mean, that sucker is very, very thin, very slicey, and it's an excellent little knife, and it ends up in my pocket quite often. So another great option from CIV that I purchased this year that I really enjoy. And of course, I couldn't just stop with one CIV. I had to get the 2. So as soon as they released this model, I jumped all over it. So I saw that this was coming out soon, and I was really excited about it because my first CIV was the CIV Elementum, the first original one in D2. And I absolutely loved that thing. That thing is so smooth, and the action is so awesome that kind of was the one that made me fall in love with it. But the only thing I didn't like about the original CIV is it only had the single deployment. You had the flicker, the thumb, you had your flipper tab, which was the only way to deploy. Wow, Scott, you need to get your coffee and wake up this morning. You only could open it one way. And then I saw this, and it had the thumb studs, and it had the blade shape that I absolutely love. I like a nice Warencliff blade, and this had all of those things. So it had all the things that I liked about the original CIV, but then they added the thumb studs, which made multiple means of deployment, which is something I love for fidgety reasons with the knife. And then everything else is exactly the same. So I got the black micarta with the black micarta. I like how the liners sit off, or the scales sit in from the liners, and they have that nice and rounded off and milled. Really excellent, nice access to the liner lock. And the action is exactly what my original CIV was, but now I can do multiple means of deployment with an excellent blade shape that I love. So that nice hollow grind, and this one is Nitro V, which is even better because it's more of a stainless than the D2. Obviously D2 is not, and me being in Florida, having a stainless blade is important to me. So excellent blade shape, excellent, another option that I picked up this year that I'm really, really happy with. So now we're going to get into some other things. So this was, I got the Giant Mouse Biblio, and I love that thing. But I purchased that not this year, but last year. So when the Nibbler was being introduced, I was like, what? That thing is cool. And I like small knives. I really like smaller knives. So I decided to go ahead and pull the trigger on this one. You got the green aluminum handles. And even being small, you can get that nice reverse flick on that thing. So this is my fifth pocket knife, my fifth pocket knife that I usually will carry with me. I was carrying this a lot, and this is N690 steel, and Ace Giant Mouse does a really good product. The liner lock is a little difficult to get in there, but you got such a small blade, it's a little difficult to do. But reverse flick is awesome. Actually, I don't even think I can get the thumb flick in there. Yeah, I guess I can. But man, it's better to just roll that thing out, and it's ready. Blade is there. I love the blade shape. You really pinch grip it, which is what you're going to be using. Something this small, you're always going to be pinch gripping this knife. I don't think you're really going to be grabbing. This is like a 2.5 finger knife to do any heavy cutting. When you have something this small, you're going to be pinching it. You're going to be grabbing it like this, and you're just going to be cutting packages open and doing those things. So you're not breaking down a bunch of cardboard with this, but it is a nice tool to have in your pocket when you are ready. So the Giant Mouse Nibbler was a fun purchase that I was able to get. So next two were two that I picked up because, one, the blade shape and everything else. This is probably one of my favorite knives for the year. And then the other one was Big Red EDC went to Blade Show, and he did a live stream, and he was like, man, I just picked this thing up. It's awesome. And I was like, what? And I was like, that thing is huge. It's way too big, but I'm interested. And what the heck? I'm going to pick it up. And this is the Orion Cetus. And this thing is a monster for me. I'm right around the 3-inch mark when it comes to knives. I'll go up to 3.25, but 3.5 inches is going to be really my max. And I believe this one is even bigger than that. It's a beast for me, but you're going to get a full 4-finger grip, and it is very comfortable. And that blade is huge. My only thing with this one, it is 14C 28N steel. The only thing with this one that I had any complaints on is I had to put another edge on it, because when I got it, it really wasn't that sharp. But that's fine. I took care of it, and now there's no issues. I got the black G10. You got the deep carry pocket clip with the recessed screws. You have the stainless. One side is stainless. I think the lock side is all stainless steel, and then you have aluminum on the other side, I believe. But Orion knives, small maker, small knives, and that's what I kind of am going towards right now, is finding makers that are smaller that I can enjoy. But I picked up this guy, and it is really awesome. The flick, using the flipper tab is a little lazy. You really got to put effort into it to swing that big old blade out, but that's okay. The holes are there with the fuller, which is nice to be able to get your finger in and to do the reverse flick or the thumb flick as well. So that one turned out to be really cool. And then probably one of my favorite knives of the year is the Vosteed Nightshade. I love this thing. That Schillen blade shape just has me. I don't know. It just has me. And 154 cm as a blade steel, but this thing is just fall shutty in every single way. Reverse flick it, thumb flick it. They have so many different options. There is one with a flipper tab, but I decided to get this one, and man, I don't know. I can't say enough about this knife. Vosteed killed it. It has the rounded spine on it, which I'm a sucker for. Nice jimping, which isn't too aggressive. It's right where it needs to be. You got the full 4-finger grip on this thing. I like the black and that little pop of copper. That is amazing. Deep carry pocket clip with everything recessed in it. So again, nice and smooth in the pocket. It is milled out on the inside, so it's not very heavy. And again, man, that just drops shuts without any effort whatsoever. Reverse flick is nice and smooth. Plenty of access to the lock bar. Look at that. That they pulled that down, so you have plenty of, and they actually like kind of angled it, and it's just so much room to get in there. And I just love this thing. I want to get the smaller one with the bar lock to see what that's like. That's gotten a lot of positive things too, but quite frankly, the funds just aren't there. And there's so many things I would like to get, but Vosti Nightshade was an awesome option. The last two that I want to talk about, I missed one, and I'm going to have to add it maybe onto this one, but I got a TRM Holy Nerd. And when I got this, at first I was almost disappointed in it because I'm so, oh my goodness, geez, taking it all out, taking it down. When I first got it, I'm so used to being fidgety and things flicking out and everything else that I really wanted this to be more of a fidget-friendly knife. And it really is once you learn that it's not going to be fall shutty whatsoever. You have to push it closed. You got to get that reverse flick is a little difficult to learn how to do, but it can be done. And then the thumb, because the knife is so small, the thumb really is just better to roll it out. So I really love the blade shape and I love the size. But with that, TRM makes a really quality product. The G10 is amazing. I got the Contour G10. And I didn't want to bash I felt bad when I originally made it because this knife, it is 20 CV steel, stone washed or some kind of texturing wash to it. So sandblasted or stone washed. Excellent blade. The deep carry pocket clip, but the screws are not recessed. So I wish the screws were recessed. Ample access to the liner lock. And you can reverse flick it out. It takes a lot of effort to do. But you have to understand what you're getting. And just because it's not fidgety and it doesn't have great action doesn't mean that it's cheap. And I spent a lot of money at the time I purchased this. This is the most expensive knife in the collection. But it is nice and smooth on closing and on opening. You're just not going to get the really fidgetability with this knife with flicking it out and closing it and having it drop shutty. But that doesn't mean it's not a high quality blade or high quality knife. It is. TRM makes a really great product and I really love their stuff. I would like to get a Neutron or the Shadow. I think Shadow is the one that has the same blade shape as this, but it's a little bigger and a bar lock. I think the bar lock might make it a little bit more of a fidget factor, which really I love in my knives. So the TRM Holy Nerd made its appearance. Next up, I have the Tempest Microburst. Like I have said, I'm trying to support small makers or small designers, and Casey at Knives Fast created Tempest knives, and he has 4 models now. Actually, the new one is coming out very soon. So, but I saw the Microburst, and it was within my price range and the size of which I like. So I decided to go ahead and support him and buy one of these knives, and I am so happy I did. These are amazing knives. Some people might not get that shape because the blade shape's a little weird with so much height and forward, just like that little curve up here, and just the way that that blade is shaped is a little weird for some people. But once you get it in your hand, it's one of those things that you're like, oh, I get it. It's super comfortable in the hand. 14C 28N blade steel. The action is ridiculous. Definitely has that fidget factor. It has the thumb studs. It doesn't need to be anything more. It doesn't need a front flipper. It doesn't need a flipper tab. It needs nothing more than just those thumb studs to make it excellent. Plenty of space to get into that liner lock. And again, very drop shutty action. Kubi makes his knives, and Kubi makes a great product as well. And the micarta, the quality of that micarta is amazing. It is contoured, so it does have the contoured scales, reversible pocket clip. I don't mind. I like the wire clip. Some people hate them with a passion, but I don't know. Look, recessed, a deep carry pocket clip, you're only going to have that much of the knife sticking out. And then you have the recessed hardware. I mean, and there's one screw holding that in, which is awesome. So it's one screw out, one screw in, flip it over to the other side. So it's very awesome knife, and one that I'm very happy, and one that ends up in my pocket quite often. I love the finish on that blade, whatever stonewash finish or what we're calling that. That I would consider a stonewash. Very thin at the edge, and it's a really good slicer. So the Tempest Microburst is definitely on my list for 2023 of the best knives that definitely were made. My big Grail purchase of the year was this. I never thought I would be able to purchase this knife. It was something that I would just look at and off in the distance and say, yeah, I would love to own that thing. It's awesome. But never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I'd be holding it in my hand or have one in my collection. This is a Wii knife, and for me, I do have a Sakashi, I think, for Wii, which is kind of their cheaper one besides the Banter. But this is now the most expensive knife in the collection, and it is the Wii Hyphen. Again, I'm a sucker for a good Warencliff, and then they added a harpoon on it too. So a Warencliff with a harpoon, yeah, sign me up. So, whoo, yeah, this thing is awesome. So, I don't know. There's nothing I can't really tell you guys about this. So you have the titanium, stone-washed, anodized handle scales with the nice milled pocket clip. You got the steel inset for the lock bar. It is removable. The thumb studs are right where they need to be and amazing. The action is amazing. I mean, I don't know. Guys, I can't, it lived up to everything that I wanted it to be. The handle is very comfortable. It looks a little awkward with all the shapes, but even this forward choil is big enough for me to get my finger in, and then your thumb lands right. I mean, I don't have to reach for it. It just nestles right where I need it to be. So this is amazing purchase, amazing knife, and one that I'm really happy to have in the collection. And I have been carrying it, even though I'm scared to death because of what I paid for it. But every once in a while it ends up in my pocket, especially if I know I'm probably just doing a family thing or something like that, where I'm not really going to be doing any kind of hard work on it, because God knows I'm terrified to do any hard work. It is a knife, it is a tool, and it should stand up for all those things. But, you know, when you spend that much money, come on. So anyway, guys, Wii Hyphen, amazing. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with the cough. Amazing knife. So that's kind of what I got for you. That was like the top 11, 11 knives. I have to say the Vosti Nightshade, the Tempest Microburst, and of course my Wii Hyphen are going to be my top 3, and I'm not going to number them favorite because I just can't do that. So these are my top 3 for the year. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please subscribe, like, leave a comment or not. That choice is yours.